Hello and welcome to my channel. Here we talk about movies and television, and today we're discussing Borderlands. It's the latest video game cash grab to reach the silver screen, and like all the others, it comes with a lot of hype and a lot of disappointment. It was written by Eli Roth and adapted into a screenplay with the help of Joe Abercrombie. Eli Roth also directed the film, which stars Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Edgar Ramirez, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Ariana Greenblatt. Okay, for those of you unaware of the Borderlands video game franchise, it's about a group of treasure hunters trying to find an elusive vault on a fictional planet called Pandora. The planet is filled with psychotic people, crazy environments, and a cacophony of death. People loved it for its crass sense of humor, overly violent action sequences, over-the-top characters, and the story at the heart of it. The film tries to recreate all of that, but doesn't quite hit the mark on any of it. It should feel like Deadpool meets the Guardians of the Galaxy, but instead it feels like a cheaper version of The Expendables. The story starts with a long and boring exposition dump that quickly introduces the characters, the world of Pandora, and the prophecy. After that, the rest of the movie takes a breakneck pace, never stopping to explain anything or anyone. It bombards the audience with cheap jokes, pointless action, and a journey that couldn't feel more mechanical if they tried. They travel to two locations finding magical items that progress the story, and then there's a big twist that anyone with two eyes can see coming a mile away. After that, they wrap the film up in a big climax with no weight to it and call it a day. The characters go completely undeveloped aside from Lilith, and Lilith's story is both different from her original story and doesn't land very well. Basically, they tried to jam a bunch of other sci-fi fantasy adventure tropes into her background, and it feels like an abomination. In the end, the story technically makes sense if you follow along with everything, but there's no real sense of danger. The comedy doesn't land, the action doesn't have much impact, and you don't really care about the characters. The cast is both horribly miscast and also doing the best they can. You have Kevin Hart trying to play a serious super soldier, but he constantly cracks one-liners and looks ridiculous shooting guns. Like a child in his dad's clothes playing dress-up. The only thing funnier than him playing an intimidating soldier is how obvious it is when they switch to a stunt actor. The stuntman is like a foot taller than him and 100 pounds heavier. There's also Cate Blanchett playing a sassy mercenary with a heart of gold, which she does exceptionally well with. She even manages to get a few tender moments in with Ariana Greenblatt. She also looked badass during the action. Ariana Greenblatt, Florian Munteanu, Jamie Lee Curtis, Edgar Ramirez, and Jack Black all get relegated to background characters and do a good job, but never get enough content to stand out. They get some comedic lines, some stereotype work, and they get to do some action poses, but they don't get more than a few lines at a time and never express deep emotions. The visual journey sees a few of the big locations from the games recreated in part, and is fairly clear and easy to follow. There are some spots where the animation work is just a little bit dark, but you should be able to make everything out. They do a decent job of recreating the characters' costumes and bringing them to life without the cartoonish appearance. They also did a good job with most of the CGI work and the big action moments throughout the story. The siren magic that appears later in the film was also pretty damn cool. For standout visuals, they had a lot of big action sequences and slow-mo action poses. There wasn't much impact to the fights with no real sense of danger, but they did look cool in the moment. You had characters running, jumping, and shooting in high-octane sequences and killing hordes of enemies while they did it. The soundtrack consisted of a few metal songs and a few instrumentals. They attempted to add a little bit of hype during big action moments and a bit of emotion during the story beats. Unfortunately, the music is often way too quiet and gets completely overpowered by the scenery. You'll hear people shouting, guns blazing, and the sound of bullet shells dropping before you'll actually hear the music. In the few instances where I could make it out, it was good, but I only really noticed it 3, maybe 4 times total. Personally, I didn't hate this movie, but it wasn't Borderlands to me. It didn't have the charm, the wit, or even the characters. The story didn't develop anything, and it often felt rushed. One of my favorite parts of the games was how many different characters Pandora had. It's not just one evil corporation, it's like 100. And there's all kinds of different raider groups too. The cast also wasn't well chosen. They chose to age up several characters randomly, made Roland a foot shorter and far less muscular than he should be, and took out 2 pivotal characters from the story just so they could rework Tina and Krieg's backstories. The visual journey was alright, but certainly wasn't good enough to make up for the rest of the film, and the soundtrack was abysmal. You can't even hear it. As far as a rating goes, I'd give this film a 4 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye.